Well, good morning, friends. It's Crystal here from Homemaking on the Homestead, and welcome to my channel. I am doing a little coffee with Crystal this morning, so grab your cup of coffee and let's have a chat. Well, I am now officially on the other side of Thanksgiving, and I had a really nice Thanksgiving, and I hope all of you did too. My Thanksgiving this year was really different. It was something that things happen in life, and sometimes they don't go the way you thought. My daughter and I thought we were going to be hosting a dinner, and then it just didn't end up working out that way. We had decided to do different plans. I hadn't seen my middle son in probably about 8 months or so. He has been on the road. He works remotely, and so he's been doing a little traveling and kind of living a nomad life, and he's really enjoying that. But for the holidays, he decided he wanted to be closer to home, so he headed up to the same city that my youngest son lives in, so he could spend some quality time with his brother. They're 4 years apart, and so they have a deep brotherly bond, which is very sweet. And I wanted to, my husband and I both wanted to go and spend the holidays with him and my youngest son. However, when you have two boys, they're not like cooking and preparing, and I wasn't sure with my son gets vacation rental homes, and so I wasn't sure what kind of accommodations he was going to have, so I didn't want to prepare a big dinner and take it up there. So we just decided we would go and spend the day with the two of them, and we ended up going out to eat. So, and that was, a whole nother story too. But I really came back having, number one, having had a wonderful time with them, but also doing a lot of reflecting, and not about just Thanksgivings in my past, but also the holiday season that's coming ahead. With November now almost over and Christmas right around the corner, it kind of makes me think of so many things. I was in Costco the other day, and it was just like a madhouse, and the Christmas decorations are just lights and things just crazy, and there's so much commercialism and hype in it, and it just seems like every year things get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by things like that, and even the stress of the holidays, that the expectations of things that need to be done and need to be taken care of, and everything needs to come together by that one day, and it can be kind of overwhelming and a little bit anxiety causing for some people. I know for me, having had 8 kids and now 17 grandkids and spouses and things like that, it's a lot. It really is a lot. And if nothing else, my Thanksgiving, my simple Thanksgiving, reminded me of the importance of remembering that the holiday season is more about the people in our lives than it is making something, creating something that's big and grand. I've thought a lot recently about simplifying the holidays, and how do you do that? There are so many, with all those expectations on a person, there are so many things that need to be done, and it almost takes, at times, for me it has at least, almost taken the joy out of the holiday because of those expectations. And I would love to find a solution that simplifies the holiday season, especially nowadays when you think of just the financial burden that this season can put on a lot of people, with inflation and so many different things. It made me remember a story in Little House on the Prairie. Years ago, I was reading the books to my children, and it made me remember the story. I want to say it was Little House on the Prairie. It might have been Little House in the Big Woods. I can't remember. But it was Christmas, and the night before, they hung up socks. The little girls, Mary and Laura, hung up their socks, and in the morning they were so thrilled because they had a stick of peppermint candy in it, and maybe there was something else. And I just reflected on that and thought, wow, how far have we come in our world that so much more is expected today than back in the 1800s, when life was obviously simple. Not easy, but it was a lot simpler. And it also reminded me of a story that I had read a couple years ago of a family who the husband had lost his job right before Christmas, and they had no money for gifts. And so they made an agreement between them and the children that everything they got was going to be homemade from things that they had already in the house. And it went on to show all the creative things that they were able to do and how simple that was as well. And I would love for at least my own life and family to be able to somehow embrace more simplicity in what we do, and less expectation in what needs to be done. There's always the expectation that everybody in your life needs to have a gift. A few years ago, I started giving family gifts. I've done that. One year I gave one of my children and her family a membership for the year to the Science Museum that is in a neighboring city. I've done board games and different things that are that the whole family can participate in, magazine subscriptions and things like that. And even that, while simplifying it, again, you still have all those expectations. And maybe that's just the reality of the holiday season. But I kind of envision in my mind sometimes what would be a holiday when there was no expectations other than family, other than coming together as a family, and or with the people that you love in your life, and sharing a meal, and just sharing in the times of your life, and reflecting and just having a good time together as a family. What would that look like? What would that look like? So I've thought a lot about that. I'm not sure that will end up, being a reality, but I always spend, obviously, Thanksgiving, the month of November, I spend a lot of time thinking of the blessings that God has for us in our life. And in December, I end up spending a lot of time reflecting on the year that has gone by. And I just, especially with the Thanksgiving that I have, I just came to not the realization because I've known this, but it was just like a little bit of reality of how important the people are in my life, and how that is what it really is all about. I thoroughly enjoyed my day with my sons. So I'll have to tell you the story of our dinner, because it went nothing like we had envisioned and planned. So there was a local restaurant, and we were going to go and have dinner there. I think the biggest error I made in it all was not calling ahead of time or making reservations or something like that, and making sure that everything was going to work out fine. We knew the restaurant was open. They had advertised, Thanksgiving dinners and all that. And so we arrive, and there's a lot of people there, understandably. So we go and put our name down to be able to have a seat. And I asked the lady what was the wait time. And she said, it's going to be a long time. She said, I am down to 2 servers right now, and it's going to be a wait. So we stepped outside and contemplated what our options were. We checked in at 2 or 3 other restaurants that were in the area, and they were all closed. And at that point, we were like, because we had still a 3-hour drive ahead of us when we did leave, and we were all hungry. So we didn't want to get out of there too long. So we didn't want to spend an hour or more waiting, and then a couple hours eating, and then still have a 3-hour drive ahead of us. So the only place that was open that day was Jack in the Box. And we all laughed about it, because it was definitely not what either any of us had envisioned for our day. But we went to Jack in the Box and ordered, a bunch of good food, and took it back to my son's rental, and sat at the table and laughed and talked, and just was almost, I want to say magical in some ways, because it was such a blessing and it was so much fun. There was no pressure, there was no expectation at that point. The simplicity of it all was just hit us all at that moment, and how we could enjoy this day, be together, and have a whole lot of fun together, even though it wasn't the tradition, even though it wasn't the traditions of the past and what other people might be doing that day, but it was what we did, and it certainly will make a memorable Thanksgiving. This one definitely, this current one, made me reflect on the value of family and the value of what is this season all about, and not just Thanksgiving, but the Christmas season to come. What is it all about? My best memories, my most fond times in my life have been the times that I have spent with my family, whether they were young or whether as they got older and started, spreading out and moving out, and then we would all come back together at Christmas or Thanksgiving and spend that time together, and what a blessing that was. Somehow, I don't know, I would like to connect simplicity with expectations and family time, and have Christmas maybe look just a little bit different without the glitz and the societal norms of today that are so big, and so they're like in the back of your mind that you have to do more, and you have to do it bigger, and you have to do it better, and really remember to hone in on what is the most important thing, and what do we value the most, and why are we celebrating this, and why are we coming together. Anyway, those are just a few of my thoughts today on this Coffee with Crystal, and let me know what you think, and let me know what are your Christmas traditions, and what do you think of, in terms of society's expectations versus the simplicity versus what anxiety and stress that can come with a lot of this season. I would love to know anything that you have to share. I would love to know in the comments below. All right, you guys, as we march into December, I hope you have an amazing week, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye bye.